Ample evidence shows that when executives consistently make decisions and investments with long-term objectives in mind, that their companies generate more shareholder value, they create more jobs, and they contribute more to economic growth than do peer companies that just focus on the short term. I think it's never been a concept that's more important than where we are in South Africa at the moment, addressing the interests of employees, of customers, of all other stakeholder groups in the country is so important for the future sustainability of your organization. But we still see a lot of the research showing that we have behavior that's geared towards short-term benefits. And we often talk about what they call courtitis in the States, focusing on the next earning. Paul Flaherty is EY-Parthenon Africa leader. And this is something, Paul, that you're really seized with at the moment. Welcome to Business Talk on Business Tech. And I'm really looking forward to finding out what CEOs need to be thinking about to ensure long-term value creation for their businesses. But first, just tell us about EY-Parthenon and why the need for strategy consulting. And isn't that already what EY does in its advisory business?
Yeah, thanks, Michael, and thanks for the opportunity. EY-Parthenon has been around some time, mainly in EY in the US and in Europe. And we're really launching this EY-Parthenon in Africa now. And we don't think there's a more apt time to do it, really based on how you've introduced this conversation. So EY-Parthenon consists of about 6,500 professionals around the world, as well as about 750 partners. And what they spend their time solving for clients is not only corporate strategy, but also your transactional strategies, your turnaround and your restructuring strategies. And it's very driven by this whole framework and concept of long-term value. And that's what we think is different. And that's what we think is needed today.
Given your background, Paul, ArcelorMittal, ABSA, and leading one of the biggest demergers in South African corporate history, why did you specifically choose to lead this business? Was it because you've had this hands-on experience in leading businesses through very complex, chaotic, and often turnaround type scenarios?
Yeah, absolutely, Michael. So my career at Group 5 as the CFO at Group 5, expanding into Africa and then sort of closing down in Africa during the crisis there. In the Middle East, leading up a family-owned business through the booms in the UAE, and then subsequent to the boom, spending time at Eskom for 3.5 years, going through the complexities there, ArcelorMittal, and ABSA, big separation. So all of those learnings, I think, Michael, has made me end up here. And really what appealed to me about the EY-Parthenon, it's a really real discussion that you can have with your clients. It's not about the textbook strategy and the models around strategy. It's about really helping and working with your clients to solve their complexities and their issues through your own experiences, but also to this wide range of professionals with very good expertise in many industries and bring them to help clients.
And in terms of what you'd like to achieve heading up this business, what sort of goals have you set for yourself?
Yeah, so we've, I joined EY-Parthenon about 5 months ago. So it was really firstly launching it internally in the African firm, which we've done. We now in Sub-Saharan Africa have set up EY-Parthenon hub in West, in Nigeria, and in East in Kenya. And through the South African business, we now hoping to expand our full capabilities across Africa, but leaning very much on the international firm because there's a lot of good expertise and tools, etc. there. And but I think what's important to understand about EY-Parthenon, it's not just a strategy business. It brings the whole length and breadth of all the advisory and consulting services that EY offers globally to clients. So it's not just about having a strategic conversation.
Yeah, it's often more about strategy execution, and I think often that's where businesses fall down. You've got boards of directors along with the CEO and the chairman sitting down, formulating the strategy, and it's going out and executing in very difficult circumstances, in markets that have been upended because of the pandemic, in local markets that are being upended by the socio-economic unrest. Where do you see the big opportunity in the local market?
I think, as in your introduction, I see what you're seeing today. Those companies who have a really, really good understanding of all their stakeholders in these moments of crisis, It's those companies that survive. It's those companies that can have the conversation. It's those companies. This is a trust issue. If you have trust with your stakeholders, and as in the broader group, this is when you can get things done. This is when you can rally together. This is how you can change your crisis into opportunity. And I think there never was a time, as we've seen in this last week in South Africa, but we're seeing this globally through surveys. You spoke a little bit about that, of coming out of the pandemic, global companies realizing, institutional investors and all other stakeholders, the huge pressures on boards and executives today.
We're having this conversation on business shows daily, ESG and the rise of ESG investing. And it's not just the environmental issues that I think we've become so familiar with, and climate change, and don't pollute and be a good corporate citizen. It's also the social and the governance issues. And I think those are really rising to the fore. In the back end of the pandemic, we were not the only country in the world that's currently experiencing some kind of unrest. I think people are restless, societies are restless. But what do you mean when you think of long-term value in a business, and particularly in the South African context?
Yeah, so long-term value encapsulates the purpose of a company, the meaning of a company. Why are you in business? It encompasses your sustainability. How are you ensuring that you're not destroying resources for the future? And it encompasses your ESG analysis and how you're affecting that and how you're reporting on that. And I think here what is key is triple bottom line reporting has been around for some time. We've done some surveys recently that said, if ESG reporting is getting better, why is decarbonization not improving? And that's the issue. This is about talking to companies to unlock execution and get things done and measure it, and not really just about the reporting of it. You've really got to stand behind your purpose and how you see yourself playing in the world, and listening to all your stakeholders and making sure that you can attract capital, you can attract people. Young people today want to come to a company where they feel part of the purpose and part of the culture, and it's a different world, Michael.
I want to come back to an earlier point you raised, and I think rather cynically, many asset managers that I chat to have said ESG is just another buzzword. And if we were really focused on ESG, we would be seeing change. We would be seeing faster decarbonization in the world. We wouldn't see the sorts of corporate scandals that we're seeing. We'd see greater societal harmony and cohesion. Where do you think we're falling down? And how should companies be looking at this in a way that's not just ticking another box?
Yeah, and that's the point. I think you're right. So, ESG has focused so much on reporting, and you get these best awards for your great reporting, etc. But are you really talking to your long-term value? Are you really looking at all your stakeholders? Are you really redefining your purpose? Are you really refining your strategy? Are you really measuring it? This long-term value is about unlocking that intangible value in your company by engaging with everybody and making sure you move forward in a common purpose. As an example, although it was pre-EY time and people may debate it and say maybe it was the wrong thing, but when we set out at ArcelorMittal trying to get the steel industry to survive in the country, that was building relationships with labor, with government, with local national government and local municipalities, with all the stakeholders in a united purpose to make sure that we had a common goal. And that's what this is about. And long-term value thinking and the frameworks and deep discussions about that is what this is about.
And, it's a fascinating conversation we're having in South Africa at the moment, because there's a lot of talk now about, well, how do we respond to the unrest of last week? Sure, there's a deep political element, but it's also frustration. The fact that you've got this tinderbox that you can just throw a match into. And so questions around a basic income grant. And often I'll have it thrown back at me, yes, but how are we going to pay for that? But the question is, can you hope to grow? Because ultimately economic growth will get South Africa out of this. But can you expect to grow in an environment where so many people are going to bed hungry every night, when the social fabric is so deeply unequal? And I suppose it means that businesses now have to start engaging in issues that I think for a while we're really just left to the politicians. Oh, we're business, we pay our taxes, and really that's government's problem.
Yeah, absolutely, Michael. That can't be anymore. And EY, like all major companies in this country, are really examining themselves internally, getting ideas from people, engaging with the clients we have, and all of the companies are doing that, and making sure we can come up with proactive, doable, executable solutions. You can't just plant it on government's door. That's not right. It's a whole societal drive where we need to come together and plot the way forward, because you're right, without sorting out the social ills that we have in the country, you can't sit here in an ivory tower ignorant of what's going around you. So long-term value is a country appeal, it's a company appeal, it's an individual appeal.
And also what I like about it is it's framing things in terms of opportunity sets. And often we think of the challenges, but within this, there's a great opportunity. Paul, thanks so much for sharing your insights into leading EY-Parthenon into this new era. And let's hope that South African businesses really do grasp this nettle of opportunity to help forge a much more prosperous South Africa from a business perspective and also a societal perspective into the future. Take care.
Thanks very much, Michael. Thank you.